T-minus 10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. minus 5 minutes. Minus for minutes. Minus 3 minutes. Minus 2 minutes. Minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
All right, I don't know about you. I don't know about you, but I'm ready for some fun for the next 2 hours. I hope you are. Welcome to the RP Show, everybody, coming at you on the Game Plus Television Network. It's just going to be me solo here in hour one, and I just opened up the Western Dodge text line, just so you know I don't look at it outside show hours. Some guy wrote from Penticton, BC, and said, "Where's Moose?" Sounds like we haven't said 1,700 times where he is, but Darren Moose Dupont will be with us in hour two. He'll be the guest. He'll be making his Las Vegas television debut when we go to Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network in hour two. But for now, it's just you and me, and everybody's stressed. Everybody's worried. Let's not be, okay, for the next 2 hours. And I'm actually glad that it is just us, as producer Corey, of course, and myself and you, the viewers. I'm going to ask you for just one thing, and that is a lot of audience participation today on the Western Dodge text line, 902-518-3033, and the YouTube chat. We do have a little breaking news out of the National Hockey League. Connor Ingram has been traded from the Utah Mammoth to the Edmonton Oilers for future considerations, and the New Jersey Devils have signed defenseman Luke Hughes to a long-term contract. So there's some NHL news there. But you know what we do every day? We're not breaking with tradition. It's the Quick Six Show topics. It's the big story. I'm going to start with baseball. This show will always be the Blue Jays show. Shohei Ohtani hit 2 home runs and had 3 RBIs, and Teoscar Hernandez had 2 homers and 4 RBIs as the LA Dodgers whipped the visiting Cincinnati Reds 10-5 in Tuesday's opening game of their best-of-3 wildcard series. In fact, the Detroit Tigers, Boston Red Sox, and Chicago Cubs were all Game 1 winners on Tuesday as the best-of-3 MLB wildcard series got underway. And do you need to know the scores? Tigers trimmed Cleveland 2-1. Red Sox beat the host Yankees 3-1, and the host Cubs beat the San Diego Padres 3-1. Look, we're not the baseball show. That's not why you came here. But I've told you a million times, I'm into it because it's the playoffs. And in that Yankees game last night, Max Fried worked 6 1/3 scoreless innings in Game 1. But then manager Aaron Boone removed him after he retired the first batter in the 7th. Reliever Luke Weaver walked the first batter he faced, allowed a double and a 2-run single. Red Sox go on to win the game 3-1, and Aaron Boone forced to defend his decision after the game for lifting Fried after 6 1/3. And here's my thought on that. Thoroughly enjoyed the baseball all day long, watching it on the various networks and the coverage. And it's New York, man, a faltering bullpen, which has been their problem for a lot of the year. I'll just say this. It's too bad that Aaron Boone has to stand there and answer these questions. What he did say was the plan. It looked like he was going to take Fried out after the 6th, but he put him in to start the 7th inning, got 1 out, and then said, okay, we're done, and made the change, and it didn't go according to plan. So we'll see what happens tonight in Game 2. What I love about these wild card series is it has a March Madness kind of feel. Like, you better be in it and pay it because it goes fast. That's why I don't watch 162 games during the regular year, but I'll watch it now. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, hockey isn't a whole lot different. I can't sit down really and watch a whole hockey game either right now. I just don't have the attention span, but the baseball has been fun. I'm just checking in here from the audience. I told you I'm requesting some audience participation because I'm going solo here in hour one, which I can handle just fine, but I would like your help. I'm going to give you some revealing information as well as hour one goes along here. Wayne in BC says, I think the Jays would prefer to play the Red Sox. I'm not sure what their record is against the Yankees. Their record is they won the season series. They had their way with the Yankees all year long. So, no, we want to play the New York Yankees in the division series. So here's hoping New York pulls it out tonight, which, by the way, it wasn't that, I didn't get that vibe last night, but it tells you how little MLB baseball I watched this year, or for sure the Yankees, because I'm watching it going, what are these guys got the black robes for out in the outfield? Oh, they're judges, Aaron Judge. Okay. Even a dummy like me could figure that out pretty fast. Kevin, the medium, says, good morning, RP peeps. Listen, it's not the baseball show. We're going to move on to point two here, other than to say Ryan in upstate New York writes in. He says, good day, Rod Squad. My football team is cursed. My baseball team is run by a bad manager, but it's Luke Hughes signing day. Today is a good day. I like the way you think, Cardinal Ryan in Saratoga, New York. Focus on the good. Travis writes in and says, morning from Saskatoon. Watching the Red Sox beat the Yankees was great. Hope they do it again. Well, we would rather play the Yankees. I thought we established that. But anyways, moving on. Kevin the Medium, by the way, is in beautiful Kamloops, British Columbia. Say hey to my good friend Greg Drinnan out there, famed hockey writer, if you don't mind. We're moving on to point 2. And just so you know, I've allotted a very generous amount of time here on hour 1 to discuss National Hockey League, Canadian Football League. What all do I have down here? Oh, I want you all to be thinking about a Stanley Cup final prediction because I was on the air in Michigan last night with Captain Lou Gamelin from the 12-Ounce Sports Network, and he asked me for a Stanley Cup prediction, and I was stumped for a second. I said, I have not thought that far ahead. As you know, one day at a time is what my bracelet says, one day at a time. I've not thought about the Stanley Cup final, but we're going to talk about that. So I want you thinking about it here because we got the first break coming up very shortly at 2 minutes. Thank you, producer. Man, this goes fast. News from the National Football League today. A couple of points. Rookie Dylan Gabriel will get his first NFL start on Sunday when the Cleveland Browns face the Minnesota Vikings in London. The Browns are benching Joe Flacco after he struggled to lead the offense in the first 4 games, and they're 1-3. Meanwhile, more breaking news from the NFL. Viewership for the Pittsburgh Steelers' 24-21 win over the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday at Croke Park in Dublin was 7.9 million viewers, ranking as the second most watched NFL Network international game on record behind the Dolphins and Chiefs in Frankfurt, Germany back in 2023. And I've got more football notes in a second, but I'm going to tell you right now, NFL notes, that surprises me that it's not more. I'm just saying. And why do you think it wasn't more? 7.9 million for the Dublin game, Vikings Steelers. I watched it, and there are a lot of thoughts coming out of that game. The Vikings coaches are now saying there was a tech issue with their two-way radio. They couldn't get their plays in time. They certainly looked discombobulated on that day. But I think it's because it was 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 7:30 Mountain, where a lot of you reside, 6:30 Pacific. Too early of a game. So maybe 7.9 is a really good number, 7.9 million, but it's the National Football League, bro. I thought it would be more. We're just getting rolling. This is the warm-up. We're 2 topics in, CFL, NFL on the way. I got a whole page full of notes, and Moose coming up in hour 2. We're coming at you live on the Game Plus television network. Get your messages in now, 902-518-3033 on the Western Dodge text line. And we'll be right back also on YouTube Live and Mission Radio.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time?
Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help.
Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Peterson Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Nazareth's Canadian Farewell Tour is coming to Moose Jaw. Live at Temple Garden Center, October 17th. With special guest, Lee Aaron. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or sasktix.ca.
We're back at it, everybody. And let me tell you right now, hour one of the RP show is brought to you in part by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon, Pump Jack's Cathedral in Regina, Pump Jack's Weyburn. Come early, stay late. At the place where friends meet, and also by Outlaw Communications, where creativity is a way of life. Before I jump back into the quick six show topics here, from what we've been talking about so far on the program, Western Dodge text line 902-518-3033. Kirk writes in, he is in Saskatoon regarding the trade. Connor Ingram dealt from the Utah Mammoth to the Edmonton Oilers this morning. Kirk says Ingram is a good low-cost pickup for the Oilers. Utah retained half his salary, and we did not give up an asset. If he can retain his old form in the minors, it's a huge win for Edmonton. And for us Sask boys, who hasn't noticed that two Imperial Saskatchewan products are on the Edmonton Oilers now, head coach Chris Knobloch and goalie Connor Ingram. I think a change of scenery for Connor is a fantastic thing. Regarding the baseball, Jim writes in, he is in Balgoni. He says, good morning, RP Nation. Let the Sox and Yankees beat up on each other and then bring on the damaged Yankees for the Jays to have their way with them. Looking forward to another great week of shows, as am I. Thank you, Jim in Balgoni. And I thank you for allowing us to keep you company here on the RP Show daily on Game Plus Television and hour two to Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network all across Nevada. I got a ton of notes here, but I know a lot of you showed up to talk about the Canadian Football League, and I want to tell you, I got it. I had an epiphany. It was either this morning or last night. I'm like, I get it. Lou Gamelin, who had me on his show last night from Michigan, was watching this show on TV, and he goes, oh, it's so refreshing to hear the NHL talk. And I'm like, oh, sure, a guy from Michigan would say that. That's what we're going to do a lot of in hour two. The NHL talk, because you don't get it in America. That's in my notes. But here in hour one, it's like the CFL talk. You don't get that anywhere else in Canada either, and that's what's incredibly refreshing about it. So I'm like, I punched into the GPS, hour one Canada, hour two USA, and then you figure out how we're going to get there, GPS. And that's what we have, and it's working out beautifully. So point three of the quick six show topics, I have written CFL stuff because there's a lot of things I want to get to there. And I guess most, right off the bat, the poll question is for EMJ Marketing. We do it every Wednesday. What is Canada's game of the week in the Canadian Football League? And your options are Friday night, Sask at Ottawa. Like, they're all big. They're all very big. Friday night, Sask at Ottawa, and then a Saturday doubleheader. Hamilton Tiger Cats at the Toronto Argonauts, and then the late game of the doubleheader, which is running away with the poll, the Calgary Stampeders at the BC Lions. And so this is awesome. I know a lot of you are going to perk up here right now with all this. Hey, thank you, Nelson. Just hang on. And Brent in Wellington, Florida, you hang on, my friend. Brent in Wellington, Florida writes, and he says, okay, Rod, rabbit hole time. Who are viable loaners for Alexander Barkov? A lot is L.A. and Pittsburgh. A lot of L.A. and Pittsburgh. No. We're going to be doing Cats and Bolts later on this afternoon at 3:30 Eastern. I will invite you to tune in for that, Brent. Here, no. Hour one, Canadian sports. That's what we're sticking to. 902-518-3033. So when I look at these games, Friday night, Saskatchewan at Ottawa, that's my former team playing in it. Riders are trying to avoid a third consecutive loss. It's a must-win game for the Ottawa Redblacks. There's a lot of juice to that. But even I won't vote for that. The Hamilton Tiger Cats at the Toronto Argonauts, it's a must-win game for the Toronto Argonauts. Go look at the standings. It's must-win for Toronto. That's a pretty big deal at BMO Field. Will they be paying attention? The Blue Jays are also playing Saturday. That's not ideal from a ratings perspective or attention perspective. And then Saturday night, it's the Calgary Stampeders at the BC Lions. And for obvious reasons, that's the game of the week. That's what's running away with the poll. The teams, the Lions and the Stampeders, are tied with 8 wins along with Winnipeg. This is like the closest down to the wire ending since 2011 in the CFL West Division. Go look it up. So it's Calgary at BC. That is the game of the week, but you got 24 hours to vote on that. And by the way, I shouldn't have been as dismissive about the Alexander Barkov comment. I do have some NHL preseason talk coming up, but you have to allow me as the host of the show to have my hands on the wheel here. So nobody, if you've noticed, is actually talking about the games in the CFL. What they're still talking about is last week's rule changes. And I'm going to tell you something. This is what I have written down here. And it's why I won't even touch this in hour 2. Because if you could see it, I know there's a lot of people on that kettle of fish that is the CFL, the fans, the media, the players, the coach, whatever you want. It looks so bad from the outside, the arguing of it looks terrible. It looks really bad. And Nelson writes in, our VP of Sim Events, and says the split on the CFL rule changes is really starting to feel divisive and exhausting. If you agree, you're anti-Canadian. If you don't agree, you're holding the game back. It's an eye for an eye, really. Well, eye for an eye is a wonderful way to put that. Here's a saying that I picked up. This is from the recovery world, my other career, mental health and addiction recovery. An eye for an eye leaves the world blind. Here's another one that dawned on me very recently. Fight fire with fire, you burn the world to the ground. Maybe that's not what we want to do. Go eye for an eye or fight fire with fire. Now, I understand in the business world, Brent from Wellington, Florida, and I have talked about this. You can't all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. I get that. But the CFL has made its announcement. They're changing the rules. They're not going back, and they're changing the field size. They're not going to go. They're going to walk this back. They're owners. Do you understand? I know probably a lot of you don't know owners of sports teams, pro or major, juniors, basically pro. Egos are pretty healthy. They don't think about anybody but themselves. That's just the way that it is. Don't get upset. That's the way that it is. So we're going to go, oh, yeah, we forgot to consult with the coaches and players. Oh, yeah, we forgot to consult with the facilities about the junior football and university that play. Oh, we forgot. They don't care. They'll say, make it happen. Or they'll write a check to make it happen. It's out of the barn. So I'm tired of hearing about the canceled season tickets to this, and it's just very distasteful. And, I saw this, I'm not going to name any names here, but I saw this national reporter, CFL reporter, saying it's not Americanizing the game and just they're all upset. And it's like, guys, listen, when you want to wear the shield or work for the network and get all the money, that's totally fine. But don't get upset, and you've signed your soul over to defend the league and do everything that they do. That goes along with the job. But you can't come back then and get pissed off, get pissy when your credibility is attacked. You can't have both, all right? Because there is such a narrative about the TSN guys are defending this. They have to. So, literally get off their ass. The term, and which is a whole other thing, which I can't wait to talk about the NHL in the next segment, because this is what's off-putting to me. A couple of things. I had a very hallowed CFL name. I talked to him this morning on the phone. He's probably watching right now here on Game Plus Television. He's in Southern Ontario. That's all I'll say. And we were talking about Nathan Rourke lipping off at the commissioner and calling the rules garbage. And the guy goes, "What has Nathan Rourke done?" The exact quote was, "Know your effing role." In the States, NBA terms, it's shut up and dribble. Just go play football, Nathan. And don't even, maybe later on, because I have it in my notes, to talk about the WNBA player that criticized the commissioner. It's today's athlete. Okay, they don't understand. Life will make them understand. I don't think it's our job to do that, but that goes back to this Luke Wilson stuff. He's all over me for the TSN reporter, this Super Bowl winning tight end. He was slamming me last week, saying I was the least credible CFL media person on Twitter, and I'm only trying to stay relevant. Hey, dude, I was right twice about the Americanization of the rules and about the U.S. expansion. I was right. So somebody called me when Luke was slamming me going, I thought he was your friend. I'm like, I've never met the guy. I've never met Luke Wilson. He went from saying I was the greatest guy at the start of the season to now I'm the biggest jerk in the league. And I haven't even talked to him. So as flighty, I won't go any further than that. It's just all gross to me. It's just all gross to me. And Nelson started it all. Nelson actually said, if you go back, it looks even worse. Yes, it does. Utah Darren writes in and he says, owners are not used to being told no and don't care if you tell them no. That's the whole point. So I think that's the one thing with, I mentioned the WNBA thing. I have it here. Why not? It all rolls into one. Nafisa Collier delivered a blistering assessment of the WNBA and its commissioner as she sat in front of the media with a prepared statement and disclosed private conversations she said she had with Commissioner Kathy Engelbert that portrayed her as a leader who lacks accountability. The Minnesota Lynx star spoke Tuesday for more than 4 minutes on topics ranging from Caitlin Clark to inconsistent officiating, which she feels Engelbert and the WNBA haven't addressed. The commissioner responded to Collier in a statement not long after the media session, saying she was disheartened by it. This is the same league where the players were like, they didn't consult us about the expansion teams. Like, why wouldn't you talk to the players about where we want to play, where they should put the teams? Know your role. So this goes back to just the generation. And I'm kind of sitting back here going, oh, how is this all going to play out? Because I don't think the rules of the world have changed and the laws of the universe. It's called the Golden Rule. I don't think it's changed. Has it, producer Corey? I don't think the Golden Rule has changed. Not in your experience. Producer Corey says, and Luke Wilson is still hiding behind his computer and doesn't have the cojones to come on here. So that makes how much he believes in this now. We've invited him 3 times to come on. People, why don't you get him on? He's been asked. I don't get it. I'm tired of it. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in and he says, shut up and dribble. As a former player and coach, I love it. I'll have to use that one, Rod. Hey, it's not mine. It's not mine. Google it. I can't remember where it came from, but it was somebody who used it in terms of LeBron. Speaking out about politics. Let's keep this fun, by the way. I want to keep it fun. That's why I started this talking about the games. And it's going to be all hockey in the next segment. So Brent, my good buddy from Wellington, Florida, that you'll be happy with that. But for the CFL people that are here, I had to get that off my chest. I told you we were going to have fun, and this is stuff that I can't get to when I do have a co-host, so we don't do it every day, but we do it enough. Monty in Saskatoon writes in. He says, ship Luke Wilson back to the NFL where he belongs. Oh, I got a great story about that. Don't let me forget. Arlen Bruce III writes in, great morning, RP. Maybe with the rule changes, someone can break the catches in a game record, which is 16. Also, my touchdown position might be in jeopardy. Records are set to be broken. Oh, a football note on that, by the way. Oh, listening to Florio this morning, I'm running out of time to get to all the points that I had. They were quoting Vic Fangio on the Eagles coaching staff. You know why these field goals are like 70 yards and 60 plus is nothing anymore? It's not because the players are in better shape or train better. The balls are juiced. And it took Fangio to say it. Not like a cork bat, but I mean, they got special teams balls and offense balls, and who knows what they're doing to it. It's the balls. Okay, that's the. I would have liked if one of the football people had written in here when we were talking about that. Anyways, we'll continue all of whatever this is when we come right back here on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube Live, podcast, and 1700 Mission Radio.
Country's hottest party is coming. James Barker Band, Bud Light Buckle Up Tour 2025. Live across Canada with special guests Ryan and Rory. November 20th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca. James Barker Band Live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Peterson Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Peterson Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Welcome back, everybody. I know I got y'all horny about the CFL stuff. We did the whole second segment on that. That's a long time, and there's a lot of comments that have come in. They're going to have to be pushed into viewer takeover in the next segment because we got a schedule here, believe it or not. And the Junior Hockey Report is brought to you by the Mad Greek. For legendary ribs, delicious pizza, and late-night bites, it's the Mad Greek Eatery, open until 11 p.m. Order online, pick up, or dine in at themadgreekeatery.com. My apologies to the general manager of the Regina Pats who watches the show every day. I think I said Thursday night the Pats were home to the Edmonton Oil Kings. It's tonight, Wednesday night. And then those Edmonton Oil Kings are at Moose Jaw on Friday night in the Rempel Temple to take on the 3-0 Moose Jaw Warriors. There you go for the Mad Greek. I love it. Yes, pizza sounds good to me, producer Corey, me as well. A couple things. Here's the thing about steering you all. This is kind of like herding cattle back in the day. Couple quick stories. My dad used to get mad at me because I was telling somebody this story the other day. I used to be able to create cattle stampedes with my range of cattle calls. I got a million of them. And it would start a stampede. And my dad would go, would you stop doing that? And I'm like, oh, Dad, it's so much fun to be able to control these cattle just with what comes out of my mouth. So that's one thing. It's fun being able to steer you all around with what we talk about. I don't know. I know a little devilish, but. And then the other night, I have this written down, Brent from Florida, if you're still with me. I'm going to be taking my neighbor Fish to the Panthers game Saturday night against the Lightning on your tickets. I know you gave them up to me to do for a contest, which was very nice of you. But my neighbor Fish has been on me for since I got back here to Florida to take him to a hockey game. Born and raised Floridian, never been to a hockey game. So with your blessing, Brent, we'll use your tickets to go. But the other night, my happy place is the hockey arena, not necessarily a Marin Bank Arena, the home of the Panthers. It just happens to be where I live. And here's one for you, though I will be discussing later on the Cats and Bolts podcast. We go our live stream at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. Search Cats and Bolts on YouTube. It's Spencer Knight's return. We all forgot about that. He was traded to the Chicago Blackhawks for Seth Jones last year. This is return. Guy leaned me over the other day, and I can't remember who the hell it was. It was in the press box. And he goes, yeah, that concerns me. That Spencer Knight's going to be all fired up to come in with Connor Bedard and face the Stanley Cup champion Panthers. I'm like, I don't think we got anything to worry about. Chicago's junk. I can't see Spencer Knight throwing up a shutty, but maybe. That's why we all got to tune in. And I got friends coming from Saskatchewan staying with me. It's going to be big fun. Oh, we really got everybody going here. I can't answer contractual. I'm not a general manager in the NHL. There is breaking news today, a couple of things. The New Jersey Devils have agreed to terms with young defenseman Luke Hughes on a 7-year contract worth $63 million. General manager Tom Fitzgerald announced the deal today. Hughes will count $9 million against the salary cap through the 2031-32 NHL season, $1 million more annually than his brother and number one center, Jack. Luke Hughes was one of just a couple of restricted free agents left unsigned with opening night just about a week away. What that tells you is that Quinn Hughes will not be in Vancouver long. If it's true what Jim Rutherford, the president of the Vancouver Canucks, said, he wants to play with his brother or brothers. Great news today for the Devils, not great news for Canucks fans. That's my read on that. And the other breaking news out of the NHL today is Connor Ingram, goaltender from Imperial Sask, has been traded from the Utah Mammoth to the Edmonton Oilers. I'm going to think about that a little bit. We watched Connor in junior, played for Team Canada. He's had his struggles in the National Hockey League twice through the player assistance program. But what I will say about that, by the way, guys generally emerge from the player assistance program better. I think his time was just done with Utah and Arizona. Look at Patrick Laine. Came out of it last year, had one of the best seasons of his life. Spencer Knight's been in that program too. Now the number one goalie for the Chicago Blackhawks. So fresh starts are a big thing. Fresh starts are a great thing as I sit here and talk to you from Florida. John Ohm writes in. He says, speaking of crowns, Rod, Do you still have yours? It's around here somewhere. I was looking at the king's robe the other day. Brent in Wellington, Florida says, considered blessed. Fish is blessed that he's going to get to use your tickets and sit in the lower bowl, by the way. Some interesting people sitting in those seats already this season. Oh, from the NHL preseason last night, Marcus Foligno's shorthanded goal at 14:29 of the second period snapped a 2-2 deadlock and lifted the Minnesota Wild to a 3-2 NHL preseason win over the visiting Winnipeg Jets. Among the games, Tampa Bay beat Florida 3-2 in Orlando, and I watched it. I mean, as much as I was watching the baseball and enjoying it, the Panthers game was on television. There's a lot of people interested in these games, even though they're preseason, because people were texting me from Canada going, how can I watch this? I'm like, you can't. Both games are on Tampa TV and South Florida TV. They're not. Welcome to the growth of hockey in South Florida. But the Lightning are 5-0. What I'll ask you, and I'll be putting this to Jeff Chikrin later on today on the Cats and Bolts podcast, doesn't matter. 5-0 is 5-0. Panthers coach Paul Maurice saying after the game, I'm paraphrasing, I don't like losing these games. That makes Paul Maurice Paul Maurice. He's like, hey, we're here to evaluate, but I don't like losing. But, I mean, they've got some wins, too. It jumped out to me that Tampa Bay is 5-0 in this NHL preseason. And on that broadcast, by the way, they had this graphic. Maybe you saw it, Brent, if you were watching the game. It said, tantalizing free agency pool in the NHL next summer. And I'm like, it is. Assuming guys get there. Connor McDavid, Sergei Bobrovsky. There was like 16 names on the list. Would have been Kirill Kaprizov, which I go back to, by the way, the explanation of this deal that we had from Alan May on yesterday's program. Kirill Kaprizov set to become the highest paid player in the NHL next season, at least for now. The Wild signing him to a $136 million deal over 8 years. Alan May explained it, man. It's like buying a house. It might not be worth $1 million, but if that's what the market says, or if it means that much to you, that's what you're going to pay. Kaprizov is not in the discussions for the Hart Trophy or even the Art Ross or any trophies. Yet he's the highest paid player in the game, and as Alan May said, they didn't want to let him get away. It's a place starved for star players, and he's a star player. Oh, yeah, Bomber Boy writes in from Calgary. He says, I love preseason champion parades. Right? I'm just saying 5-0 is 5-0. They're not doing anything wrong. But I'm with you on that. It doesn't mean diddly. Don't mean deadly. B. Mans writes in. He says, is Wiener Wednesday still a thing at Regina Pats games? I don't know. Go and find out. With regards to my cattle calls creating stampedes, Tony from Cochrane, Alberta says, now we know why Rod is a Cowboys fan. That's part of the reason. Marketing's a thing, folks. I mean, and here's a little hook for you for coming back after the break. Guy writes in here on the Western Dodge text line and says, it's Kirk in Saskatoon. He says, no one's talking about the CFL trade deadline today. Probably not the most exciting compared to other sports. Go Rider. That's the problem that I have. Go ask 100 people on the street in Saskatoon what day the CFL trade deadline is. Go do it. Tell me if one person knew that it was today. And when we were going to Las Vegas television this week, somebody wrote into our Facebook the other day and said, hey, maybe you can market the CFL down there. Bro, the CFL's not marketing the CFL anywhere. Why would I? Why would I? But you can say it. It's not my job. Well, producer Corey said he can give us some cheese for our crackers. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe. But we're doing what's best for the RP show. That's what I'm sorry. We'll be right back with a sports update for Ultimate Fan Zone and viewer takeover the rest of the way. Oh, that's going to be good. It's going to be great. And Moose in hour 2. We'll be right back.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Peterson Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Peterson Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Peterson Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Peterson Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Peterson Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Peterson Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Peterson Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
RP show continues. It's just you and me until the top of the hour. It's been just you and me all of hour one. I could do more of this. It's flown by. There's more comments coming in now than there is when I have a co-host. But the thing is, I don't really want to do it by myself all the time. When I did it for years, on the old shows, I get sick of me. And I assume people will get sick of me. I know I get sick of me. A lot of people get sick of me. It's the biggest reason why I bring in co-hosts. Before I go into the rant, here is your sports update for Ultimate Fan Zone. The visiting Boston Red Sox can advance to the American League Division Series with a win over the New York Yankees tonight. The Sox, who won 3-1 in the opener Tuesday, will send Brian Bayo to the mound while Carlos Rodon will start for the Yankees. The winner goes on to face the Blue Jays in the ALDS beginning Saturday at Rogers Center. Not good news for the Argos, who are playing at home on the same day. Not the Argos' fault. There are 5 preseason games on tonight's NHL schedule, including a Pacific Division clash in Calgary between the Flames and visiting Vancouver Canucks. Elsewhere, the Seattle Kraken host the Edmonton Oilers. And the Colorado Avalanche visit the Vegas Golden Knights after beating the Sin City Crew 4-2 last night in Denver. How about that game being on TNT last night? Sports update is for Ultimate Fan Zone and Moose Jaw. From jerseys to trading cards, Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store is your fan cave headquarters. Visit them in the Jaw or click over to ultimatefanzone.ca. So we have a lot of comments. Bill writes in from the Queen City, says, was Kaprizov not an Art Ross contender up to the injury last year? He got hurt. The best ability is availability. BC Eric writes in, he says, I have no idea when the NFL trade deadline is. Who cares about any league's trade deadline? Well, it's pretty important in the NHL, Eric. I can't go along with you there. Utah Darren writes in, he says, when you look on the back of milk cartons, you find the pictures of CFL and UFL advertising executives. And that's part of this, what I wanted to get to when I said a rant. See why I said I don't mind talking about the Canadian sports in hour one? Let's throw it all on the table here. You all know, some of the new viewers won't, producer Corey won't know this, but back in January, working with another production team, the NFL got a hold of me and said, Rod, we'd love to accredit you for Super Bowl, but space is limited here in our broadcast center. And if you talk more NFL, we'd probably find a spot for you. And I'm like, oh my God, the ball's on these guys. But they're the NFL. But I'm like, I'm still always going to talk NHL. I'm still all going to talk CFL and baseball. So no, I can't do that. But the way the NFL is, we said the CFL trade deadlines today. Nobody knows. Eric in BC is giving them a pass, saying nobody cares because nothing ever happens at the trade deadline. Whatever. Fine. Sure. One of the issues that I have with the CFL, actually the biggest issue, is the PR end of it. Like, for instance, I get an email in my inbox yesterday, Tuesday. Here's your Week 17 wrap from the CFL. I'm like, bro, it's Tuesday. The game's ended on Saturday. I had mine out at rodpeterson.com an hour after the final gun of the Elks and Riders in a thrilling... You wait till Tuesday? In the NFL, before the evening kickoff game, because the NFL's put me on their game notes list now and news releases and everything, they're like, here's 7 things that went down in the early game windows prior to tonight's Sunday night game. Beep, 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 all cool points. That's the day of the game. And then today I'm getting the notes for Week 5 and some of the exciting things that are going on. I saw somebody bitching. Oh, it was that CFL guy I talked to on the phone this morning, who is a long, decades-long friend of mine. But he was bitching about the new kickoffs in the NFL. And I said, well, I have to go back and look at it, but I think it's 3,642 kickoff yards amassed last week, and the NFL is the most all-time in 1 week. So I'm like, you can bitch all you want about you don't like the new rules. The NFL's not bitching. 77% of kickoffs are being returned. That's the most in 20 years, and we just saw the most kick return yards in league history in 1 week. Where did I learn that? From the NFL, who sent me their game notes for this weekend on a Wednesday, and I still don't have the CFLs yet. So that's all that it is, guys. When I hear this about the marketing from the marketing people, when I say, hey, do you want to put a little work into this back in the day? And they would get so pissed off at me. Well, we don't have the NFL budget. You can't send an email? That's what pisses me off. And it's funny because I was out for a walk this morning thinking of this. We had a guy with the team. I'm not going to say any more. I don't think he's watching now. We didn't get along. But he was a marketing guy, and he had come to sports from Nokia cell phone company. Have you even heard of Nokia lately? And I think the other was Lego. And I'm like, he worked for Lego, and he came to work in the sports team. It's not the same. And I said, well, the last guy used to give me like tidbits and stuff of what's going on with the team and stuff that I can tweet and use on the air. What do you have for me that I can put on the air to get some hype? Oh, let me think about that. Calls me an hour later and he goes, we got 2 players who are going to do an autograph signing at the Southland Mall on Saturday from noon to 2. Yeah, you're not getting it. And you ain't never going to get it. BC Eric writes in and he says, these marketing questions would be great for your next interview with the CFL commissioner. I'll handle the interviews, but thank you. Wayne in Victoria, BC writes in, he says, even if you talk about the CFL on Vegas TV, will it move the needle as far as crowd sizes at CFL games? I don't know, Wayne. There was a good question here from Nelson. He says, is hockey the only pro sport where loyalty means anything? Not a lot of jumping ship to secure the bag in free agency. Well, let's sit back and think about that. Yeah, in July, when free agency happens. But for the most, I think we're all expecting Connor McDavid's going to stay. Bill brought up the good point here. Where the hell is it? I'm going down too many roads here. My mind's getting a little fried. Oh, yeah, here it is. No, it was John Ohm. My bad. Sorry, John Ohm. This was a topic that came up at the rink the other night. He says $17 million a year for Kaprizov. What's McDavid going to get? 19 to 20 million per year? That I'll go back to why it's so important to me to be in the press box, because that's where the cool conversations happen. I'll sit in the crowd. If it's a special night like Saturday, I'm going to take my neighbor Fish because he's never been to a hockey game before. And thank you, Brent from Florida, for giving us your tickets for that. But you don't have the conversations in the crowd, especially in Sunrise, that you have in the press box, because that came up. What's McDavid going to get? And for how long? But, it's been beat square by the Canadian media and fans, but only a select few were talking about it here, and that's kind of refreshing, which, by the way, is another thing. I saw a photo going around on social media today about the crappy crowd at the Panthers game the other night for the preseason game, and I'm like, is this still a thing? Panthers attendance? Who cares? It was Monday night, and the Dolphins were playing at the exact same time. Nobody's going to be at the Panthers preseason. Come on. Now you're just looking for something to bitch about. Tony in Cochrane, Alberta, writes in, he says, BC, Eric, you must be from the USA. In Canada, the NHL trade deadline is a huge event. He's in BC. That's all I can say. I got to get to these CFL questions because I won't be carrying them over until viewer takeover of next hour. Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, hi, Rod, reading online comments from American viewers of the CFL, and surprisingly, most of them have said leave the rules alone. They enjoy that it's different from the NFL. Yeah, here we go with people talking about what they don't know about, which is not uncommon. But having lived in both countries now, they think the CFL is cool. I was the typical Canadian. When Pat McAfee called the CFL state fair football, I got all offended. Remember, maybe you don't, but we had this war back and forth, Pat McAfee and I, years ago. But now that I'm here, I get the mentality. They think it's cool. So the rules, they modified the rouge, but they're shortening. This is all about shortening the field. And that's where I go back to the media that's defending the CFL now, the guys from TSN, because they have to. Because it's their job. They're not Americanizing it. It's all semantics. It's whatever you want to call it. They're shrinking the fields to be able to fit them into American stadiums and maybe Europe too. Like, I've reported about 5% of what I know. Like yesterday I saw this, MLSE is behind the rules. Of course they are, because MLSE wants to make money off the Argos. And if it doesn't work, what they're proposing here, MLSE is going to walk away. And somebody got this wrong or misconstrued that they're going to fold the Argos or move them. No. The Argos aren't going anywhere. They're the oldest pro football team in North America. But MLSC, we're out because they're about making money. They don't care about winning. They do with the Raptors. But, it's not about winning Grey Cups for them. It's about making money. And by the way, that's business. Moose is coming up next hour. This will be fun. Marshall writes in, he's in Winnipeg. He says, I've been a Bomber fan since Bud Grant was their coach, and the league has gone through a lot of changes since. I'm as Canadian as it gets, and I think the new rules are great. I dare say it probably won't be the last changes we make. Long live the CFL. It's not about the rules. It's about people that don't like change. If you kind of sit back and look who the people are, it's the It's just the grumpy people that are grumpy all the time. Don't want modernization. Of all things, I don't walk around quoting Bo Levi, but he was right. If you don't want to call it Americanizing it because that pisses you off, let's call it modernizing it. But it is to move to U.S. stadiums. Okay. Randy in Regina says, sorry if this is a repeat. CFL gets more marketing from the Rod Peterson Show, 3 Down Nation, and local radio shows. I know. Trust me, I know. See you back in hour 2 right after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Peterson Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Peterson Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Peterson Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Peterson Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
It's the RP Show. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome. You're tuned in on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, plus Game Plus Television, all across Canada and 32 U.S. states there, but across Nevada on Silver State Sports and Entertainment, YouTube Live, podcast, and Mission Radio. Hi, I am your affable host, Rod Peterson. You're in for a special treat coming up in the next segment. The founder and original owner and CEO of this fine program, Darren Moose Dupont, will be joining us to make his Nevada and Las Vegas television debut. But if you're just joining us, and for you, you are, as we set sail on hour 2 of the day, 2 hours air on Game Plus television every day. The second hour here, lovingly, on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. Let's jump into our quick 6 show topics on this Wednesday, y'all. And then we'll get to Moose in segment 2, and then sports updates later, because we got some doozies and some breaking news today, and the always popular viewer takeover in the final segment of the show, which we call Overtime. Are you ready? We open with the big story. It usually changes every day. Today it's baseball. Shohei Ohtani hit 2 home runs and had 3 RBIs, and Teoscar Hernandez had 2 home runs and 4 RBIs as the Dodgers whipped the Reds 10-5 in the opener of their wild card series in Major League Baseball on Tuesday. We're looking ahead to tonight as the Reds are already facing elimination. I love the March Madness feel of these wild card series in Major League Baseball. It's not one and done, but it's 2 and done, or it could be. The Detroit Tigers, Boston Red Sox, and Chicago Cubs were all Game 1 winners on Tuesday, and at least one of these series could or will end today. Now, in that Yankee game, Max Fried worked 6 1/3 scoreless innings in Game 1, but manager Aaron Boone removed him after he retired the first batter in the 7th. Reliever Luke Weaver came in, walked the first batter, and allowed a double and a 2-run single, and they went on to lose 3-1. It was not as scintillating at Yankee Stadium as I'd hoped. I'm kind of hoping for I'm definitely hoping for a Yankees win tonight, because we want New York to win the series, right? Because our Blue Jays had our way with the Yankees this year in the season series. That's what we want to see in the season series, in the division series. You want to see the Yankees again. By the way, John Ohm is watching in Winnipeg, Manitoba on YouTube. He writes, he says, why are New Yorkers always so grumpy? Because the light at the end of the tunnel is New Jersey. Little New York humor for you there. That's a good one that producer Corey. He Googles these things, just so you know. Breaking news from the National Football League. A couple of items on this Wednesday. Rookie Dylan Gabriel will get his first NFL start on Sunday when the Cleveland Browns face the Minnesota Vikings in London. The Browns are benching Joe Flacco after he struggled to lead the offense in the first 4 games. Cleveland is 1-3 and ranked next to last in scoring. Meanwhile, in a story which is far more interesting to me than the Browns quarterbacks, viewership for last Sunday's Steelers-Vikings game, Pittsburgh won at 24-21 in Croke Park in Dublin, was 7.9 million viewers, ranking as the second most watched NFL Network international game on record, behind only the 2023 Dolphins-Chiefs game in Frankfurt, Germany. And while the NFL is trumpeting that, I got the news release today from The Shield, I'm sitting there going, why wasn't it more? And 7.9 million? That seems like a bit of a downer. It's got to be because of the time of the game. 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 for the people, AM for the people in Nevada. So, and not like it was a flop or anything like that. It wasn't much of a game. And then we find out after the fact that the Vikings were having communications problems with their coaches and quarterback Carson Wentz, or it might have been on defense. It doesn't matter. They look discombobulated out there. And sometimes you kind of wonder about these parks. There's talk coming out of there about how the game wasn't sold out in Ireland. See if they go. But anyway, 7.9 million watched it on television on NFL Network. By the way, next segment when the Moose joins us, we'll be talking some NFL and what games of the week are in week 5. It's not like you don't get enough Vegas Raiders talk. You could never get enough talk of your team. I understand that for the Nevada people. Raiders at Indianapolis. Nobody's talking about the Colts as a surprise team in the NFL this year. We'll get into that with nobody's talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're both 3-1. And you want to talk about games of the week in the NFL, the Monday Nighters, the Chiefs and the Jags, and I'm kind of leaning towards that. You will all find out if you haven't by now. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, and I'm assuming we're going to go into New York and have our way with the Jets on Sunday, but that's what I thought about Chicago a couple of weeks back. Hour 2 and our picks are brought to you by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon. Pump Jack's Cathedral and Pump Jack's Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. That's our NFL and CFL picks. And while I'm sitting here, I should remind you that our text line is open, 902-518-3033, on a variety of topics. We do cover the Canadian Football League rather extensively here on this program. We have through 1,588 episodes. Toronto, a CFL town for now. Vegas was a CFL town. But every Wednesday, we do a poll, and it's presented by EMJ Marketing. What is Canada's game of the week in the Canadian Football League? There's a lot going on in the three-down game for those that aren't paying attention. But for the sake of the games themselves, there are only three this week. Friday night, Saskatchewan Roughriders visit the Ottawa Redblacks in a must-win game for Ottawa. And then it's a Saturday doubleheader, the Hamilton Tiger Cats at the Toronto Argonauts. There's only 4 weeks left in the regular season. It's a must-win game for Toronto. But running away with the poll results is the Calgary Stampeders at the BC Lions Saturday night. Running away, over 70% of respondents saying that is the game of the week. Both teams tied for second place in the CFL West Division with 8 wins each. We've been talking a lot of CFL, but the fact that, and I'll brush on this, we covered this last hour on our Game Plus TV broadcast. The bulk of the discussion coming out of the CFL has to do with the rule changes. We've been talking about it all week on this show here, obviously on Game Plus TV, but also Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network because they're big CFL fans there. Hey, if you can bet on it, they're going to bet on it. CFL, junior hockey, lacrosse, whatever. But they're changing the rules. That's all anybody can talk about. And as one of the viewers wrote in here earlier, Nelson, last hour, the discussion around the rule changes is getting divisive and exhausting. I hit that point last week. And I think we've sufficiently beat that horse to death today. So, like Hank Snow, we're moving on to the National Hockey League because our two anchoring cities on television, Toronto and Las Vegas, are NHL towns. So we have a couple of breaking news items from the National Hockey League. The New Jersey Devils have agreed to terms with young defenseman Luke Hughes on a 7-year contract worth $63 million. General Manager Tom Fitzgerald announced the deal today. Hughes will count $9 million against the salary cap through the 2031-32 NHL season. $1 million more annually than brother and number one center Jack. Luke Hughes was one of just a couple of restricted free agents left unsigned with opening night just about a week away. And for those that observe and follow the National Hockey League, this is not good news for the Vancouver Canucks. If you are to believe Canucks president Jim Rutherford, who said their star young defenseman Quinn Hughes wants to play with his brothers in New Jersey. He said he wants to play with his brothers. That could have meant getting them out of New Jersey, as you're looking at it, and taking them to Vancouver, or Quinn getting to free agency and moving to New Jersey. And with this long-term deal today with Luke, that's kind of the way that it's looking. And the other breaking news comes out of Salt Lake City, Utah. The Utah Mammoth sending goaltender Connor Ingram to the Edmonton Oilers for future considerations. Now, as I talked about last hour, this kind of dawned on me like a lightning bolt within the last 24 to 48 hours. Hour one is so popular on the Game Plus television network because we talk about the Canadian sports, and that includes the CFL and obviously NHL and Blue Jays. Hour two is going to be very popular here on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network because we're going to talk a lot of National Hockey League. Because you are an NHL town, but how much of the media there is talking about hockey? Probably not that much. Ryan in upstate New York's watching, writes that he says, my New Jersey accent comes out when I get caught in the traffic or get angry. Yeah, I get that. Reminds me of my neighbors. Full disclosure, for those that haven't heard yet, I live in South Florida. When the Dolphins were lining up Monday night at home against the New York Jets, I pulled around and Harry and Ronnie were out in the street. I'm like, how are the Dolphins going to do tonight, guys? Who cares? They all, you know where they're from? The Northeast. Anyways, speaking of hockey, I was a little surprised to see a photo going around Twitter of the crowd at the Panthers game the other night. And people were like, this is pathetic. That conversation is so 2015. Florida Panthers are like top 5 in the NHL in attendance. I'm pretty sure the Golden Knights are up there too. As somebody said the other day when some people were dumping on the Arizona Cardinals Thursday night jerseys, they said the internet hates everything. It was one of the ESPN anchors. Doesn't the internet hate everything? Like, you're literally looking for something to complain about. Panthers attendance. Arizona Cardinals Thursday night jerseys. The Dolphins were playing at home that very same night on a Monday night against the Jets. Nobody's going to be at the Panthers game. It's the preseason. But the Chicago Blackhawks are coming to town on Tuesday night for opening night in the National Hockey League, and that'll be 19,500 there. 902-518-3033 is our text line. It's brought to you by Western Dodge. Are you looking to trade up? Western Dodge makes it easy with top dollar trade-ins and unbeatable deals. Here's one that I was meaning to get to. So many things came out. Oh, and it's 11 minutes after the hour. Thank you, Carlos, for pointing that out. We observe, if you're a numerology fan, 11 minutes after the hour. Just envision a positive outcome for your current quagmire. It works. What do you got to lose? As I continue here in the warm-up, I'm hanging on this hockey thing for a sec. Among the games last night, Colorado Avalanche were winners over the Vegas Golden Knights, and they are playing in Vegas tonight. Let me check my sports update from last night, from last hour. The game that I watched was played in Orlando. They had a full house there. You got to love the neutral site games. Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Florida Panthers. And the Lightning won 3-2 to go to 5-0 in the preseason. And I was asking the viewers, does it matter? The Lightning are 5-0. 5-0 is 5-0. I think if you were a marketer, you would be trumpeting that. But if you're 0-5, you would be covering it up like a turd in the sandbox. That's what I say about that. BW in Edmonton writes in. He says, yes, exactly. For 11 minutes after the hour. Thanks to those for observing. I'm randomly pumping in comments here because we will talk a little CFL from time to time, even in this second hour on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network. Let's be honest, they were home to the Las Vegas Posse back in the day. BC Eric writes in. He says the CFL gets ragged about attendance on a weekly basis. Right, and I'm tired of it. They've taken a break about bitching about attendance to bitch about the rule changes and field changes, which was designed to help with the attendance issues. I'm done. But thank God this popped back into my mind. I was on the air in Michigan last night with Captain Lou. You're going to see him next week on this show, Captain Lou. We actually got some very big guests coming up next week here on the RP show. Mike Vanderjack, does that name ring a bell? Can't guarantee it, but we're working on it. Doug Flutie. 2 minutes already? Oh, my God. Anyways, Lou says to me, Captain Lou, says, who's your Stanley Cup final pick? I'm like, oh, my God. I haven't even stopped to think about it. But I'll throw it out. And if Moose is logged in, I want you, Moose, to think of yours. And by the way, I don't think the Panthers are going to get there now. I'm sorry. With Matthew Tkachuk hurt until December-ish, that's best case scenario. Alexander Barkov, their captain, 7 to 9 months. I'm not putting Florida in the Stanley Cup final. With under 2 minutes of thought, I'm going with the Winnipeg Jets and the Carolina Hurricanes in the Stanley Cup final. You heard it here first. Probably the only place you'll hear it. But you heard it here first. The Winnipeg Jets, Carolina Hurricanes. Now, that would not be a first Stanley Cup for Carolina. I think we all know they won it in 2006. But it would be for Winnipeg if they were to get there. John Ohm, are you paying attention in Winnipeg? John, tell the world. Rod Peterson just picked the Winnipeg Jets to go to the Stanley Cup final. I didn't say win it. But Lou Gamelin from the Captain Lou Sports Extravaganza 12-ounce sports network asked who I thought would be in the Stanley Cup final. I had to think about it. I'm saying Winnipeg, Carolina. Moose, I'll be asking you next. And it's fun. I'm going on the Hockey Princess podcast tonight out of Chicago with the lovely and talented Angela talking NHL. So we continue to grow. We continue to have fun and do cool things. And that includes Darren Moose Dupont, who's very excited. He's the founder of this show, making his Vegas television debut, coming in next. If you've got any questions or comments, fire them our way. Western Dodge text line 902-518-3033. We'll be right back after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Peterson Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Peterson Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Peterson Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Peterson Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Peterson Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Peterson Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Peterson Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are coming at you on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and Game Plus Television, plus a variety of other platforms. Yeah, ta-da! After the big build-up, there was Darren Moose Dupont, and I feel like I can hear him rummaging around. This is the founder of this wonderful program, The Rod Peterson Show, and now making his home in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Moose, you can hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, why do we not see you?
I see myself. And I see you loud and clear. You can hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Yep.
Unbelievable. Gotta love technology.
Well, while you guys figure this out, I'm going to roll with this because the viewers are very excited to hear from you. How about that? They're very excited to hear from you, Darren. And Carlos, you're turning him off? Okay, well, you guys are... Carlos says, welcome back, Moose. Tony in Cochrane, Alberta writes, and he says, Moose is back. Must be hunting season. Your Titans' number one pick, Cam Ward, is calling your team, quote, ass. Not a good leadership decision. Your thoughts, Moose?
Yeah, it's so interesting. You and some of the things you say always echo in my ears, Rod. And one of the things, and I mean, obviously everything's not yours. You're relaying stuff from other coaches, but you're either selling wins or you're selling hope. And I think of the Tennessee Titans, and they're not selling either right now. Cam Ward is hope. You're selling a lot of hope with Cam Ward, but Brian Callahan just unfortunately is not instilling a lot of confidence. Every time he gets to the podium during the week and after games and whatnot, he's not instilling a lot of confidence. And there's just not a lot of hope right now around the Tennessee Titans. It's concerning.
Listen, man, you're coming through loud and clear. Oh, there you go. And now you look fantastic. Whatever we did. I was just about to tell the viewers, just so you know, he looks exactly like Ted Lasso. And now I don't have to tell them. Here you are. So we get the video. Nice work, producer Corey. And listen, before we go any further down that NFL road, and there are a lot of viewers that have come in and they want to comment with you, Moose. They miss you. You were very excited to be going to Las Vegas television when we first found this deal out months ago. We welcome the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network, part of Fox 5 Vegas. And just talk about that, man. You're a Vegas fan. Who isn't?
It's tremendous, tremendous. I remember when you were there hosting events at the Super Bowl when it was there. Vegas has always been a town that's been on our radar and a place that I know you and I both love. It's been far too long since I've been there, but it's really exciting. The connections that we have, not just with the football team, the hockey team, friends that we have in that area. And it's just a wonderful town that has become one of the great sports towns in America. And so it's exciting to be on the network there for sure. Really looking forward to seeing where it goes. Looking forward to getting down there. I'm pretty sure, not wanting to get too far ahead, and I haven't even told you this, Rod, but there is already a plan for me to be in Vegas at some point in December. It just kind of came up in the last couple of days. So I might have to let you know those dates. We might have to hook up and make a field trip to Vegas.
Well, I'm very excited to have you on. We're longtime friends. Darren and I are very, very close. And I would have you on every day. We used to, but Darren's now the executive producer, content lead for a sports streaming company, production company called Home Team Live. He does a lot of things. The viewers have a million questions for you. That's my point. We're not going to have time to get to all their questions because I got questions for you. Okay? We got to talk about Tom Brady. I feel like you and I have not really talked about this on the phone. We talk almost every day. We're just not on the show anymore. And you know where I'm going with the Tom Brady thing. You're a huge Tom Brady fan. So we got him as a partial owner of the Raiders, the lead color commentator on the NFL on Fox, and now, depending on the day and availability, an assistant coach of the Raiders, or at the very least a consultant. He's taken a lot of heat for it. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, he has. But I don't think the rules that apply to everybody necessarily apply to everybody. There's always exceptions to the rules, and Tom Brady is kind of it because he's so good for the game. And when he's going into these pre-production meetings, I've been in lots of them. It's taken me years as a play-by-play voice to earn the trust of coaches and team personnel where you can get some of that extra information. So I think Tom Brady's earned a lot of that. He's still going to have to earn it. And if teams feel comfortable with him that he's not going to share it, to beat them or with the Raiders or in different situations, great. But it's not like there's crazy trade secrets going on there. It's a lot of strategy stuff. It's a lot of personnel decisions, maybe some injury updates. And that stuff in the NFL is pretty well known anyways. The other side of it, though, that doesn't get enough attention, and I'm hearing it a little bit, is that the teams are also using that time with Tom Brady to pick Tom Brady's brain, whether it's a young quarterback or a coach or a coordinator. It's an opportunity for that conversation to go both ways. So I hope the teams, the quarterbacks, the players around the league are taking an opportunity to soak up some info from Tom Brady as much as he's trying to learn from the teams.
Do they think he's stupid? He's not going to give up any inside Raiders information, although I feel like you're not saying that. He's just advising those teams and coaches.
Well, yeah, I'm saying like a young quarterback asking Brady, like, hey, I know you were watching that third down play in the second quarter from last week. What would you have done in that situation, Tom? How do you prepare? How do you make these? And I'm sure Tom's the guy who wants to give that information and help the next generation, and not, well, that information is only for Raiders quarterbacks. I assume that's information he'd be happy to share with the young players in the league.
I've got so much to get to with you on this. It's so exciting. Glad to have you on, Moose. Do you subscribe to his newsletter? Because that's the new thing, right? We have a newsletter. You can see. You do? Okay, so he comes out and bites the ass of everybody that's coming down on him. He didn't name anybody, and I will give you a name, and you know who that name is that's been particularly on his ass for the last year about this. It's Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk. He's like my favorite NFL reporter, to be honest. And Tom goes, anybody that says that I should step down or thinks this is a conflict of interest is distrustful. What do you say? Distrustful and insecure or something, or jealous, something like that. How did you like that he came out and just gave it to him right between the eyes?
Yeah, I mean, that's important. When you're taking the criticism in the public light, it's kind of important to respond to it, I think, in the public too. I mean, you can have those discussions. If it's something that happens in private, I think it should be, replied to or responded to in private, but I'm okay with it. Tom's a proud guy and he wants to continue to do the job. And if you're going to do the job, you kind of have to be open and honest about the things that are out there. And so he was, and he kind of fed it back to them on his terms in his forum of his newsletter. And I'm okay with that. And we'll see where it goes. But I think it's okay.
Newsletters are the way to go, everybody. Trust me. Go to rodpeterson.com. You can sign up for ours for free. It drops every Sunday afternoon. Now, again, so Florio, almost every day I'm calling you with something funny Florio was said on the air. And he was talking this morning about, at NBC Sports Radio, about the balls. Well, it wasn't his quote. It was Vic Fangio, the Eagles defensive coordinator, saying, of course, these field goals are being made from 60-plus yards. The balls are juiced. I was talking about this last week going, how come these kicks are 50-plus is nothing anymore? I saw a 70-yarder made in the preseason, and it was Fangio that said the balls are juiced. Not like a corked bat, but you know what I'm saying? There's special balls for special teams. There's special balls for offense. What a revelation from Vic Fangio. That's why I love listening to that show so much, because you get that kind of info you're not getting anywhere else.
Yeah, you do. It is interesting. It's like my mind went to golf and just how the technology continues to evolve, and the golf ball has evolved so much over the last, 3 decades. That's kind of where I go. I don't know that the balls are juiced or exactly what that means, or, are we talking about Brady deflating or inflating the balls a little more? But the kickers, man, it's the era of the long kicker, the long leg. It's become quite a little bit of a weapon, and we'll see if the league does anything in response to that. I don't know if they will.
Well, I was kind of sitting back. I mean, you and I are football people. We love it. We've worked in it. And I'm just going, what has changed? A lot of things are changing. A lot of records are falling. Look at hockey with Ovi and Gretzky's record. But now these individual, we've seen longer punts than ever, and obviously longer field goals, as we're talking about. I'm like, it can't just be the training, and it can't just be the individual training these kids are getting coming out of high school and then college. I mean, that's probably part of it. But with Fangio saying that, it makes a hell of a lot of sense. Now, we've been talking cross sports here. Troy in Toronto writes in, he says, I miss Darren's takes. He's a great co-host. Well, while we're here, you're sitting in Toronto. If we had more time, I would read off your entire resume to the viewers. But you're in Toronto, where the Blue Jays are awaiting their American League Division Series opponent. They all want the Yankees, right? We as a Blue Jays nation want the Yankees.
I think so. The Jays have played really well against the Yankees. Some fans are calling for Boston. Big Game 1 win for the Red Sox last night. I think if you're a Jays fan, you should want the Yankees, the big bad Bronx Bombers, because, look, it happened with the Leafs in Florida. If our fans in Vegas would know this, they're big hockey fans. The We Want Florida chants because you wanted to avoid Boston because Boston kept breaking your hearts, right? So you wanted to take Florida because that was the easier path. And how did that work out? You know, the Florida Panthers beat the brakes off the Leafs in that series and knocked them out of the playoffs. Be careful what you wish for. If you want to climb the mountain, you have to go through that tough test. So if the Jays want to win a World Series, you're going to have to go through the Yankees to get there. You can't. There's no easy route. And they've played well against the Yankees, especially in Toronto. I like it. Jays are having some inter-squad games this week. They're inviting fans to come out and pack Rogers Center for a couple of inter-squad games with any of the money for tickets or whatever going to go to charity. They got to stay fresh. But Saturday, when that first pitch goes, it'll be electric.
I want the Yankees because, as I've been saying on the air all week, I love fall ball in Yankee Stadium. It's great. But then the theater, you mentioned the season series. The Blue Jays won that handily, including the sweep at home, the 4-game sweep for the first time in 40 years. And also the spat between the broadcasters, Jamie Campbell of the Blue Jays and Michael Kay of the Yankees. Oh, my God. The Yankees just have to get there. Now, the people saying they miss Darren on the air. See, our conversations just flow very easily. And Darren's pinballing back and forth between sports, which is what we've always done on this show through 1,588 episodes. And you brought up hockey a couple of times. Now, I don't think you were watching earlier when I said, please think of your Stanley Cup final match. So I don't want to lob it in your lap like Lou Gamelin did last night. I was on his show in Michigan, and he's like, who's your Stanley Cup pick? I'm like, I have not spent 2 seconds thinking about that. I came up with Winnipeg, Carolina. And that's going over very well in Winnipeg. I can tell you that. Because nobody ever picks the Jets to win anything. But I'm serious. Winnipeg, Carolina's mine. Off the top of your head, who are you thinking? The same old you always pick every year?
Yeah, Carolina, Colorado, run it back. I like the Hurricanes. I like Rod Brindamore a lot. But look, I'm going to start sucking up a little bit here. I'm going to go Vegas on the other side. The addition of Mitch Marner, and I think you've got a motivated Mitch Marner. And if they get the Jack Eichel extension done here in the next few days, I think this could be a really fun season for the folks in Vegas.
I felt that they were a contender before they even signed Mitch Marner in free agency. So Vegas is always in it. I mean, again, what day was it? It was last week. I was doing my vaunted top 5, bottom 5 in the NHL, and I went back and looked at the top 5 standings last year in the NHL. It was Winnipeg 1, Washington 2, Vegas 3. Vegas is always going to be there in the end, and that was without Marner, so I'm totally with you, but I'm just thinking, in the case of Carolina, Winnipeg, it's like me picking Buffalo, Detroit to win the Super Bowl or go to the Super Bowl this year. Neither team's won. How are you on that kicking the door down thing? Like at some point, you keep picking Carolina every year, so you must believe in that.
I do. I believe in the culture. Timing matters so much too. Things have to line up at the right time and injuries, and you have to stay healthy. I still really like them. I think the window's still open, but you mentioned Buffalo. I've been waiting for the Sabres. They've had some really good rosters, at least on paper, and they just haven't put it together. We're waiting for Detroit. Detroit's a team that, seems to have all the pieces, and it sounds like Stevie Y's ready to start spending at the deadline or making moves at the deadline because the window, I think, is creeping open for the Red Wings. And Ottawa, up in Canada, the nation's capital. I think the Senators, they took a step forward. Them and the Canadians, one of those teams is going to take another step forward. I'm curious to see which one it is.
Bob Marrier in Montreal says this is the most talented Montreal Canadiens team since 1979. I said, Bob, lay down the pipe. You're not on to something. You're on something. You don't have Ken Dryden in goal. Stuff it. John Ohm says, that's a huge suck-up, Moose. Vegas over Winnipeg? How vulgar. By the way, Darren is very well known for his broadcasting of university football across Canada. The viewers want to know if you're doing that again. And Troy in Toronto says, is Darren calling a Laurier Golden Hawks game this year?
Look, I got some exciting news for everybody, for you too. I was on a call this morning. There is some opportunity, NCAA opportunities coming my way, hopefully coming my way, including maybe some NCAA football in the spring. So we might start with a spring game in Arizona, which is really exciting. I probably shouldn't talk too much about this stuff, and I won't. But yeah, up in Canada, I'll be in Canada for the Canadian University football this weekend. The team that's hosting the Vanier Cup, our national championship, the Regina Rams, they're going to be home to the Calgary Dinos in Canadian University football. So I'm excited. That'll be my call across television networks on Saturday.
Darren has a way of doing this. He just spoke this show into existence. You manifested it. And here we are, 1,588 episodes.
Canadian. The Rouge is so Canadian. The Rouge is so Canadian. The wide field. Those things are still there, right? We cleaned up the Rouge. I've been crying for that for a while. The field size, I don't think we're really going to notice that. The goalpost to the end is going to be a little weird at the beginning. But these are all tweaks. These don't change any of the real Canadian things about the game. Yeah, the 110-yard field's maybe the one. But when you move the goalpost back, you have to compromise somewhere. I think this is going to be great. And I think we should all be excited about the future of Canadian football.
How about that? He wrapped it up in 27 seconds. That's a pro right there. Darren Moose Dupont. Well, you're a very busy guy, and the folks are very excited to have you on the program. So hopefully we can do this as much as possible. But Darren, a Canadian sports broadcast executive, but getting U.S. opportunities as well. I don't have much more to ask you about that, and we only have a minute left. But as our good friend John Frenzy would say, the last word is yours. Do you have any others? Thoughts?
Yeah, it's really great to be on. I love this time of year too. You know, the fall's my favorite. The preseason starting in the NHL, or it's not starting, it's full on. The season's right here, not even around the corner. It's here. Football, college football, love that. Baseball, even golf with the Ryder Cup. This has been just a great time of year, and it's exciting to be on a new network.
Get us going about. You start that now about Rory McIlroy. Like I said to you the other day on the phone, I might watch golf now if they're actually going to get rowdy and have fun and go back and forth like pro wrestling. Yeah, I'm into it now.
Yeah,
it doesn't need to be a sport for stuffy old white guys. Come on, let's get with it. Anyways, Moose, thank you, man. Keep in touch.
We will. We'll be on as much as we can.
The text line is rolling, everybody. 902-518-3033 for Western Dodge. We'll be coming right back with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Peterson Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Peterson Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Peterson Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Peterson Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Peterson Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Peterson Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Peterson Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're brought to you in part by Outlaw Communications, where creativity isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. And the Mad Greek for legendary ribs, delicious pizza, and late-night bites. It's the Mad Greek Eatery. Open until 11 p.m. Order online, pick up, or dine in at themadgreekeatery.com. We do have a sports update coming up, but people are starting to get on to what we're doing here. And to our viewers across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, I can tell you that our regular, longtime television partner, Game Plus TV, is used to this. Anything can happen at any time, and does on the RP show. I think that speaks to our longevity. 7 seasons. It hasn't failed us yet, but anything can happen at any time. So just get used to it and enjoy. Aren't you entertained? That's what we aim to do here. And as far as the viewers getting on to what we're doing here, Bomber Boy writes in, he's watching in Calgary. He says, unless Mitch Marner knows how to magically repair Mark Stone's back and Petrangelo's entire body, Vegas ain't going anywhere. You a hater. That's what I say to that. John Ohm. I've banged the gong enough, but I'll do it one more time. Says, I agree. And what about Vegas's goaltending? As toxic and confusing like Edmonton? I would say you boys worry about your own teams. You know, I was on with Captain Lou Gamelin last night. He brought up the Vegas goaltending situation. He's like, Aiden Hill scares me. And I said, Aiden Hill doesn't care what you think, Lou. He's got a Stanley Cup ring. It may be a little unconventional how they've done it. And speaking of Oilers goaltending, I get it too. And that's why I don't have Edmonton going back to the Stanley Cup final for a third straight year. I don't. They did acquire Connor Ingram today from the Utah Mammoth. And that'll help. I wonder if he'll be the number one guy by Christmas. That's a hell of a question. The Boston Red Sox can clinch their wild card series with a win over the New York Yankees tonight. Boston took the opener 3-1 and sends Brian Bayo against Carlos Rodon. The winner meets the Blue Jays in Game 1 of the division series starting Saturday at Rogers Center. There are 5 NHL preseason games on tonight, including a Pacific Division clash in Calgary between the Flames and Canucks. Elsewhere, the Seattle Kraken host the Edmonton Oilers, and the Colorado Avalanche visit the Vegas Golden Knights after beating the Sin City Crew 4-2 on Tuesday night in Denver. Nafisa Collier delivered a blistering assessment of the WNBA and its commissioner as she sat in front of the media with a prepared statement and disclosed private conversations she had with the commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, that portrayed her as a leader who lacks accountability. The Minnesota Lynx star spoke Tuesday for more than 4 minutes on topics ranging from Caitlin Clark to inconsistent officiating, which she feels Engelbert and the WNBA haven't addressed. Engelbert responded to Collier and a teammate in a statement not long after the media session, saying she was disheartened by it. Sports Update is brought to you by the Ultimate Fan Zone. Are you looking for the hottest fan gear? Swing by Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store in Moose Jaw or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca, where real fans get their gear. I'm bringing up the WNBA because Toronto's getting a team, the Toronto Tempo. The Las Vegas has a team. I don't watch it. But I've found this interesting. We don't cover it here daily. Maybe we should. I don't know. But this is the league where the players were upset that they weren't consulted about who was getting expansion franchises, which cities. Yeah, we are big CFL people here. Nathan Rourke just was named Player of the Week today. The BC Lions quarterback, former Patriots and Falcons quarterback, and Jaguars. He ripped the CFL and its commissioner for its rule changes. And I'm like, I was kind of hoping that he would be the first player in CFL history to win Player of the Week and get fined. The world's changing. I'm trying somewhat unsuccessfully to figure it out. But it used to be something about biting the hand that feeds you. Okay? So you got this player ripping the commissioner of the WNBA saying the commissioner lacks accountability. What Nathan Rourke up in the CFL said about the commissioner was at least as bad. And they're not getting fined for it. So I just haven't quite figured that out. Maybe we will address it in the break and come back and talk about it in overtime, where all the topics are on the table. 902-518-3033 for Western Dodge. Are you looking to trade up? Western Dodge makes it easy with top dollar trade-ins and unbeatable deals. We'll be right back. You're watching the RP Show across the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, the Game Plus television network, YouTube Live, podcast, and Mission Radio.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Peterson Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Peterson Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Peterson Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Peterson Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Peterson Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Peterson Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Peterson Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, welcome back for Overtime, everybody. Proudly brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. It is an amusement park for hockey players. Golf has driving ranges. Baseball has batting cages. Why wouldn't you have shooting lanes for hockey? We got viewers all across North America. Calgary is a tourism mecca. Stop in at Overtime Hockey Lanes and tell them the RP Show sent you. It's a family-run business. Tell Randy and Michelle that the RP Show sent you. 28th Street, Northeast, Calgary. We can just ride viewer comments all the way to the end of the show here today. We got so many. It's a little weird that we've covered everything that I wanted to today and more. Wanted to talk about Tom Brady with the Moose there. He is a huge Brady fan. And Darcy writes in, where are you, Darcy? He's in Edmonton, Alberta. He writes in, he says, Tom Brady so far as a color commentator? Give me Carm Carteri any day. Carm Carteri was my color commentator for 20 seasons as the voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. We were quite a duo. 18 seasons we were together. And yeah, all good things have to come to an end, I guess. But with the Tom, yeah, I love Tom Brady too, a lot. He just doesn't have the voice for it. Sorry, like I'm not being a hater. I'm not. I love what he has to say. He's the best color guy in terms of what he's saying. He's got a very high voice. I don't think that broadcasting will, when all is said and done, Tom Brady is not going to be the next John Madden. That's not what he will be hanging his hat on. I love this ownership thing with the Raiders. I love if he wants to get into coaching. I think Tom Brady should do as much as he wants to do. But I'm with you on the color thing, and that's not hating. People love seeing Moose Dupont on the program today. Kirk from Toronto writes, and he says, with all the changes, will Moose still call Toronto home? Yes, he will. Don't worry, he's not leaving. This will be the Blue Jays show probably till the end of time. That ain't changing. That'll be our team. We don't sit and talk about them, but we talked about them more this year than we have ever. But Rhonda writes in, she's watching in Swift Current on the Western Dodge text line, and she says, nope, with us saying we want New York to win this wild card series. She goes, nope, let the Yankees lose to Boston. We don't need to meet them. Let them go out in the wild card series. It's not going to be easy no matter who the Blue Jays face. Can we all agree on that? Darcy is watching in Grand Prairie, Alberta, and he says, Buck Martinez also said recently on there that the Yankees aren't a good team. This is the fun back and forth, and oh my gosh. We just try to have fun with it. Where this rivalry started between the Yankees and the Blue Jays this year was when the Blue Jays were taking over first place near the end of June into July. Michael Kay, their longtime television broadcaster, said about Toronto, they're not a first place team. And that started this war. That's why I think we want the Yankees. We want the circus that comes with it. Blue Jays had more success against them in the regular season. Bring on the Yankees. But Rhonda doesn't agree. That doesn't mean she's wrong. Ryan in upstate New York says, get Tom Brady some whiskey and cigarettes and he'll be Pat Summerall in no time. LOL. Have a great Wednesday, everyone. Same to you, Ryan. Thanks for hanging in with us throughout and very much enjoying your podcast as well, the No Credentials Required pod. Yeah. Well, these viewers will be learning about us as time goes along. Randy writes in from the Queen City. That is not Cincinnati. It's not Charlotte, North Carolina. Those are both Queen Cities, but the Queen City in Canada is Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. Randy's watching there. And he says, and we still miss you and Carm. Bo Levi, shut your mouth. If we had another hour, I would go on about that. That's not what I want to be remembered for 20 seasons in the Canadian Football League, trash talking the quarterback of the other team. But you also can't pick what your legacy is. That's not up to you. As they say, you are responsible for your image. You are responsible for your reputation. There's a lot of other calls I would have liked to have been remembered for, but that's the one everybody remembers. The couple of years that I spent in Calgary just before coming to Florida, that call came up every single day. Anyways. Tony in Cochrane, Alberta writes in, he says, I can't believe I'm saying this, but go Yankees. Well, enjoy whatever sports you are watching tonight. It is a fun time of year. There's no doubt about this, but I've been kind of banging the drum all week. It's a little bit overwhelming. Major League Baseball playoffs, that's what's got my attention right now, but 5 NHL preseason games tonight, including Vegas home to Colorado, Calgary Flames home to Vancouver, Oilers at Seattle. To me, I'm following on that too. Coming up, by the way, we're pretty excited. Jersey Jim's going to be with us. Jersey Jim Behringer. We just want to entertain you. We like to pop around the continent. Jersey Jim can talk Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, but his game is hockey. Devils, Rangers tomorrow with Jersey Jim, and we're working on some big NFL names next week. I don't want to let too much out of the bag, but if we can find the guys that were NFL guys and CFL guys, that's kind of the sweet spot. And there's a lot of those guys. So those are the plans that are in the hopper. So we're just very happy to be continuing to be here with you and entertaining you every day. BW writes in, he says, I'm trucking through North Dakota listening to the RP show. Isn't technology great? Carlos in Indianapolis writes in, he says, great show, everyone. I'll say that to you, producer Corey. Great show to you. I can tell. He's like, I can just feel the relief in his voice. So we'll be back doing it tomorrow, and Kevin the Medium will be with us as well. A psychic. He's a psychic. He speaks to dead people. Some will say, Rod, you're doing that every day. Thanks to Darren Moose Dupont for spending some time with us today, the founder of this fine program, and to all of you for tuning in, because without you, there is no us. We'll see you tomorrow, noon Eastern on Game Plus, and here at 6 p.m. on Silver State Sports Entertainment Network.
That